When I chose to serve, it wasn't about politics. It was about love for country, for people, and a passion to ensure every Jamaican can secure the future we all deserve. And we have made real progress. Thousands of Jamaicans now have water for the very first time. New roads have been built. The murder rate is at its lowest in decades. Poverty and unemployment are at record lows. And we have done it all without imposing new taxes. That's not a promise, that is delivery. No matter which political party you have supported in the past, this election is about Jamaica's future. We are doing more for you, and we are not done yet. Jamaica is moving forward, and we must keep building. The Jamaica Labour Party has a strong team that is getting the job done. We are committed to you, your family, your future, and to Jamaica land we love. I am Andrew Holness. Put your X beside the bell.
For over 30 years, we here in Jamaica have been gripped by persistent violent crime. This Jamaica Labour Party administration said, enough is enough. Under the leadership of Prime Minister Andrew Holness and the National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang, we've made the largest investment in national security in Jamaica's history. We've upgraded police stations, improved border security, added boots on the ground, equipped our security forces with better training, intelligence, and tools. We've changed the law, tougher penalties for illegal guns, stronger anti-gang legislation, longer sentences for murder, and the results? For the first time in 30 years, murders in Jamaica are projected to fall below 800. So when it comes to safety for your family, for your children, for your community, choose strength, choose security, choose the Jamaica Labour Party.
Jamaica. For far too long, bad roads have burdened our communities. PMP once promised pothole-free Jamaica by 2003. That didn't work out for you. This Jamaica Labour Party government is different. We're not just talking, we're working, building your roads, delivering results. Under the Spark program, we're investing $45 billion of your money to build over 600 new roads in your communities. New sidewalks, drains, water pipes, and so much more. By November, we will complete the first 100 across all 14 parishes. This is for you, your communities, your roads, your future. We will get it done. Choose performance. Choose Jamaica. Choose the Jamaica Labour Party.
We do so much already, now we doing more. Jamaica Labour Party, yes we doing more. JLP doing more. JLP doing more.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to this media conference hosted by the governing Jamaica Labour Party. A special hello to those tuned in online in Jamaica and members of the Jamaican diaspora, some of whom we have no doubt will be coming home to cast their ballot. This media conference will feature an update on the status of our active and strong campaign, where we are committed to highlighting our record of achievements and to continue choosing policies which are in the best interest of Jamaica, even as we commit to do more for our Jamaican brothers and sisters. We'll also comment on matters in the public domain. At this media conference are a number of distinguished ambassadors of the Jamaica Labour Party. You'll hear from our campaign chairman, Dr. the Honourable Christopher Tufton, the Honourable Favour Williams, the Member of Parliament for Eastern St. Andrew, who has the distinction of being the first woman finance minister in Jamaica. We'll also hear from our achievements and manifesto committee chairman, Senator the Honourable Kamina Johnson-Smith, also having the distinction of being the first woman to be Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade Minister in Jamaica. And we'll hear as well from the Honourable Dr. Dana Morris Dixon. Without further delay, I invite Dr. Tufton to present his remarks. Dr. Tufton.
Thank you very much, Abka. Good afternoon to all who are here and to my colleagues at the head table. We thank you very much for coming, and thanks to those who are listening online. I'm happy to report that the Jamaica Labour Party's general election campaign machinery is going well so far. We're comfortable with what has been happening, and we're comfortable with the response to date. I say so with utmost respect and humility for the work that we're doing and for the Jamaican people who are looking on and responding to the message led by the Most Honorable Prime Minister and party leader. We have, as you know, rolled out our achievements document. It was important for us because we have been in office for 9+ years, and we are pleased, having reviewed the response, the demands, the requests for more, and indeed the contents and the comments related to the contents, that it was the right thing to do, and the feedback on the ground has been extremely positive. Our first major mass rally, for want of a better term, which was held in Halfway Tree, where we rolled out all our candidates on display and reinforced the message of the Labour Party. We are very satisfied both with the turnout, but the organization, in fact, the commentary, both from those watching in TV land or those present, is quite positive. And it is for us in keeping with the approach that we expose and we want to maintain in this campaign as we have as a government, orderly, disciplined, and hopefully effective because of the consistency of the message. So those two large events we think have gone very well, and we're happy so far with what is happening. We are not going to get complacent, however, nor distracted, and there's a lot of noise in the environment. Our focus is to continue the work, and there are other things that will happen in the coming days and coming weeks, and you will be told or be kept abreast of those developments as they unfold. Nomination day, we're all set for that. That's on Monday, and our candidates are very confident, are prepared, are adding the final touches on the ground in their constituencies, in their communities, and oiling their machinery to make a positive impact and, of course, to get the best possible result, which is to get them elected to the Parliament. We have our own program, and we're pursuing our program, but it is a competitive space, and we have to take note of what the others are doing, and indeed, where we think we need to comment, we comment. We do notice that the People's National Party rolled out a document that they have termed their manifesto. And we want to spend a little time today with the team to comment on aspects of that document. Not everything, but certain aspects of it. And my colleagues here on the platform are going to take different areas. I just want to give a general summary, however, in the first instance, and then a quick summary on the health aspect, given that I man that portfolio. First of all, it clearly seemed to have been a very rushed and hurriedly prepared document, just by way of how it was laid out and the errors that were in the document forces us to conclude that not a lot of thought went into it, and clearly the time that should have been spent that one would expect for an organization that is hoping to provide leadership in the country, that was certainly betrayed based on what we saw presented to the country. Having perused the document, we found multiple spelling errors, as a case in point. We were chastised for one spelling error in our achievements document. It wasn't an error on our part, but nevertheless, we took the criticisms, and they did a lot of that criticizing. Their document had multiple, not one. I think the last count was about 8 or more, and that's just the spelling error. There were several inaccuracies in the document. The one that was quite outstanding to us is the reference to, in the table of contents, of 8 pillars, then the address by their leader of 10 pillars in the document, the same document, and then the term love, Jamaica love, which has each letter referring to a document, an area of focus, and that is 11 areas of focus. So the first question I would ask is, what is it? Is it a pillar of 8, a pillar of 10, or a pillar of 11? Clearly what it signals to us is that it is confusing, and you wonder if that is the approach that they would want to take to providing leadership as a government. I mentioned that because it sounds simple, but they made a big issue with it when they noticed the one spelling error in our document. And clearly it reflects on them and what they represent. For us, the manifesto seemed to have been a copy and paste wish list, ranging from being incoherent to major imitation of what currently entails and what this government is doing. And my colleagues will speak more on that. In one case, it had a number of impractical suggestions that we think would need a lot more explanation and raises more questions than answers. And in another case, they seem to have repeated a lot of what the government is doing. And we are doing it with success, and we'll elaborate a little more on that. You know, they promised to reduce electricity costs, for example. But as you know, the debate, the discussion around them signing an electricity deal that drove up the cost of electricity. It is now that this government and the Minister Vaz, is now attempting to renegotiate that arrangement in order for the consumers, for the Jamaican people to benefit. The manifesto appears to be promoting ideas that seems not well thought out or risk reversing the gains we believe that we have made in terms of our economic model. And the theme Jamaica loves doesn't reconcile if that's the direction the country is going to go in, because it's one thing to say you love Jamaica and love Jamaicans, but if your policies and programs run a risk of increasing debt, increasing poverty, and increasing unemployment, then clearly that is not a love that is worthy of note or certainly acceptance. And there are several examples of them prescribing certain policies that runs counter to what their theme captures in their manifesto. Our campaign has focused on critical achievements, and with good cause, because we have been in government for such a long time. And our achievements that we have listed, all 256, are tangible achievements. And we will continue to appeal to the Jamaican people to judge us on those achievements: the reduction in poverty, reduction in crime, the increase in unemployment, the largest job creation that has ever taken place, and several other achievements which we have put out on display and which have impacted people on the ground. That for us is the big pitch, and why we humbly suggest it justifies us remaining in office for the next 5 years. I'm going to spend a few minutes on health because, again, in keeping with the cut and paste approach, a number of things were suggested within the health portfolio that we are in fact addressing. They speak about maternal care, and I know they have made some issues with that in the past year. Maternal mortality is actually trending down. In the COVID years, it was just over 200. It's now 133 in a year ago. We're still tracking the numbers to see what it was last year. We have done a number of things to impact maternal mortality, in improving engagements with mothers early in their pregnancy, governance and monitoring, facilities and equipment that have been upgraded, a lot more engaging approach at the primary healthcare level. In fact, the statistics indicate that last year, some 45% of mothers visit with their health centers to get medical care and support and advice, as opposed to almost half that amount 3 years prior. And this was after COVID. So we are seeing significant improvements, and those improvements will continue. And what they are proposing in their manifesto is what we are actually doing. They speak about the National Health Fund and the expanded care that they propose to provide in the under the National Health Fund. Since 2015, 9 conditions of illness have been added to the National Health Fund. So the government has actually expanded coverage under the National Health Fund. We have added sickle cell disease, lupus, cervical cancer, attention deficit disorder, colorectal cancer, multiple myeloma, lung cancer, Parkinson's disease, and thyroid disease. In other words, these were areas that were not covered under the PNP and are now covered under this administration. In 2015, less than 1 million prescriptions were written. Last year, 3 million prescriptions were written. We have more outlets for drug dispensation, which we are giving more drugs. We're treating more categories of illnesses. And within the appropriate time when our manifesto is unveiled, we will speak more about the additional role that the National Health Fund will take on. They speak about the diaspora and making it easier to donate. There's a number of things that we have done as a government to improve diaspora engagement. My colleague, Minister of Foreign Affairs, is beside me, and she can comment on some of those things, but we've effectively set up an entity within the ministry. We have direct staff that now deals with diaspora arrangements. We have eliminated the cost to ship things in once they are verified as donations. We have made it easier to deal with clearance, customs clearance, with approvals if it's a medical mission. And one reflection of that success is the Adopt a Clinic program, where 55 health centers have been adopted across the country, and maybe 70% or thereabouts of those are linked to persons living in the diaspora. No other government has engaged the diaspora as effectively, not just in health, but in all areas. Credit to the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, who has primary responsibility for that area. The final one I'll mention, even though there are several others, to allow my other colleagues to come in, is cancer care. It is a big area, and the government is seized with that. It's the fastest growing area of illness, even though it's not the largest cause of mortality in the country. We have done a number of things, both on the prevention side, where the issues around unhealthy diets, physical inactivity, tobacco legislation, alcohol, air pollution, the HPV vaccine, which has been introduced to the population, the introduction of the fecal immunochemical test for colorectal cancer screening in primary healthcare facilities, mammograms, which were not available before, are now available. We need to do more, but we have started to introduce those testing. It's available at KPH and Cornwall Regional, pap smear screening, and improvement in the turnaround time. Diagnostic services are more available today than they were in 2015 when they were there. I'm prepared to say we have more to do, but we are certainly better off, and we're on a journey that will take us to even a better place in the next term. And in terms of clinical care, we have had a technical working group updating clinical guidelines on breast, prostate, colorectal, and cervical cancers, as well as expansion of treatment services at a number of institutions, Mandeville Regional, Spanish Town, St. Anne's Bay Hospital, and, as I said earlier, 3 additional categories of cancer drugs introduced under the NHF, which never existed before. I say all of this, and it's just a summary to say that what the PNP has done is essentially, in a sort of hodgepodge type of way, cut and paste, that's how it appears, and not very well or professional with all the errors that are present in the document, with ideas that are either being pursued with great success by this government or ideas that are impractical, and they would need to explain to the Jamaican people how they intend to implement those without putting us back to where we were when they were in office. Before I introduce my colleague, I just want to say that our manifesto is ready and will be launched at an appropriate time. And therefore, we will have a basis and hope the country and the voters will have a basis to compare and contrast. And we're very proud of the work that we have done. It is obviously a follow-on from the work that has been done over the last 9 years. And we believe it will put Jamaica at a better place and have us as a government doing even more for the people of Jamaica. At this point, do I hand back to you, sir, Chair?
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much, Chris. The government of Dr. Holness has presided over stabilization of the Jamaican economy. In so doing, we have implemented a number of give-back initiatives, including the Solidarity Program and the reverse income tax credit. And importantly, we have imposed no new taxes on the people of Jamaica over 8 consecutive years. Part of our argument is that continuity is important. In that context, I invite the Honorable Favour Williams to offer some remarks.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to Jamaicans who are watching us this afternoon. And Dr. Tufton, I agree with you. The point needs to be repeated that the PNP hurriedly put together a manifesto with many errors, and the fact that the PNP does not know if they are talking about 8, 10, or 11 pillars shows a slapdashedness about the PNP's manifesto. As you heard, and I am repeating it in the table of contents, the PNP called it 8 pillars. In Mark Golding's written segment of the manifesto, he referenced 10 pillars, and in their diagram in the manifesto in which they spelled out Jamaica Love, they itemized 11 pillars. So which is it? 8, 10, or 11? The maths is not mathsing. PNP made many promises in the manifesto. And as the Jamaican people are pressing for the cost of those promises, the PNP has hurriedly put out a cost. They said that their many promises will cost 10% of discretionary funds. First, I'd like Jamaicans to know that there is no major line item in the budget called discretionary funds. So for the PNP to be speaking of discretionary funds, it shows their fundamental lack of understanding of this country's budget. Jamaica's budget rolls up into some major segments: programs, 359 billion, compensation of employees, 496 billion, interest payment, 177 billion, capital expenditure, 63 billion, and then you have loan payment and loan receipts. So if they do not understand the budget, I want Jamaicans to really ask themselves, are the PNP ready to lead this country if they don't understand the budget? I don't believe that they are ready to lead this country. So I say to Jamaicans, if you take nothing away today from this press conference, I want you to take away with you the fact that the PNP does not understand government, the PNP does not understand Jamaica's budget, and the PNP is not ready to lead this country. But let's examine their 10%. The only line item in the budget that they could be thinking of is a line item called programs. Programs are recurring, which means they have to be provided for year after year after year, and includes things like PATH, grant store schools for operations of the schools, funds for public order and safety, funds for waste management, health supplies and services, art and cultural services, social security and welfare services, which include sickness and disability, help for senior citizens, survivors assistance, funding for family and children. These are all important programs that continue year after year after year. And so I would like the PNP to tell Jamaicans today or any day before Election Day on September 3rd, 2025, which of these programs they will cut, eliminate, or defer into the future in order to fund their raft of promises. And I'm asking the Jamaican people not to let them off the hook with these promises that they're not telling you how they will fund them. If they can't tell you how they will fund them, then they are simply empty promises. Here today, gone tomorrow. So every time you hear them speak of these promises, ask them, how will you fund it? Will you tax us, the Jamaican people, to fund it? Will you cut something in the budget to make way for your promises? Or, like the PNP has a history of doing, will you borrow to fund it? And let them answer the question. So to the people of Jamaica, I say here we are again on the eve of an election with promises from the PNP that they have not explained how they will fund. We know their history. The PNP are the party that puts more taxes on the people. They are the party that adds more debt to the debt stock. Do not let them anywhere near Jamaica House. They will wreck the economy again. They do not understand this country's budget. They do not understand government, and the PNP are not ready to lead. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Favour. I believe it was the late, great Nelson Mandela that said education is the most powerful tool which may be used to change the globe. That's a conviction of the Jamaica Labour Party and the administration of Dr. Holness. I invite Senator Dr. the Honorable Dana Morris Dixon to present her comments.
Thank you very much, Abka, and good afternoon to everyone here, and good afternoon to Jamaicans who are listening to us. My role today is to give some commentary on the manifesto of the PNP, specifically looking at the education, youth and skills section, and also the digital transformation related areas. And when I read through it, it was very clear to me that you could say that the PNP chooses the Jamaica Labour Party. That's what I got from the manifesto, and especially with education. Let's note that our Prime Minister, Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, created a commission, an education commission, to look at how we can improve education. That commission gave us the Patterson report. And we reported recently that we're already 30% down the road in implementing those recommendations from that esteemed body. And so when you look at the manifesto, it is indeed a cut and paste of the Andrew Holness administration's policies. And I'll go through a few areas. I could go through many more, but I know our chair will say I need to stop after a little bit. But if we look at literacy and numeracy, a few minutes after I was appointed Minister of Education on October 31, 2024, I said that the goal of the administration and my goal would be to focus on literacy and numeracy and to ensure that every child is literate and numerate before they leave primary school. But then I read in the manifesto, the PMP promises that every child can read, write, do arithmetic, and reason by age 12. Sounds like exactly what I said on October 31, 2024. In terms of early childhood education, I saw a note that said the PMP is seeking to reintroduce structured early childhood screening from age 3 to identify special needs early. And I'd like to note that recently I spoke to Jamaica about this being a top priority of the administration already. And we have already implemented a new age 4 assessment across all of our basic schools in Jamaica, where we are looking at being able to do just that. And so the Jamaica Early Childhood School Readiness Assessment was designed to screen 4-year-old children for child developmental delays and readiness for primary school. All students who have been identified as potential special needs children have a new program that's been created for them to support their continued development. So on those points, we're already doing it, and that's already been articulated as policy. In relation to special education, it's another area we have spoken a lot about. And when I looked at what it says a lot of what we are already doing. So for example, it notes that we're going to provide resources to place an emphasis on the diagnosis of learning disabilities. I thought that was what I wrote. I had to read it again. It sounded exactly like what we've been doing in our administration. We have noted that we are building a new diagnostic center for children with special needs at CASE. And just on Sunday, at our mass rally, the Prime Minister again articulated how central special needs are and how we are expanding services to parents of children with special needs. On school nutrition, another area where we are doing so much work on nutrition. We already spend $9 billion a year to support our children, especially those on PATH. And I've already announced, I announced this months before the budget presentation, that we were going to extend our nutrition support. We're not doing one meal for our students who are on PATH. For our schools where we have children who are underperforming, I have announced on several occasions that come September, we're going to be doing 2 meals per day, breakfast and lunch, for all of those vulnerable children. And so when I read ease, I say that is our policy too, that has been cut and pasted. In terms of our teachers, I noted there was a proposal to remove GCT from laptops for teachers. I would like to again remind Jamaica that this administration has provided 25,000 vouchers to our teachers to provide them with the resources to get their laptops. Every single teacher in Jamaica has their laptop. So we're not just talking about eliminating a tax, we're actually giving them the laptop. So that proposal seemed a lot very strange. It also spoke to training our teachers in terms of technology, but we're doing a lot of that already. In partnership with the EU, we are upskilling and reskilling our teachers in ICT. We're also rolling out more technology and AI tools in our schools. Right now, we have an AI tool that can mark papers. And our teachers, some of them are using it now so they don't have to mark papers on their own. In terms of labs, I saw something about labs, and we're going to put more investment into labs. I've already announced a $400 million initiative, an investment in all 15 of our technical high schools. And we're going to put in state-of-the-art labs. So for example, I give you some examples. St. Andrew Technical High School will get a renewable energy lab. Herbert Morrison is getting a robotics lab. Dintil Technical is getting a lab for digital construction. Kingston Technical is getting a virtual welding lab. and St. Elizabeth Technical is getting a mechatronics lab. This is the kind of visionary work that we're doing. We're not writing a sentence about a lab. We're actually already doing it. In terms of civics in schools, I have the wonderful minister, former Minister of Education here with me. She introduced civics back into schools in 2022. So this notion that we're going to introduce civics that the PNP has in their manifesto makes no sense because it has already been reintroduced. Over 500 schools have introduced civics. In addition to that, we are also introducing it not just at the high school level, but we're going through the entire process. So from your basic school to your primary school to your secondary school, it's been introduced. And there's so many more that I could talk about. I will go to digital transformation. And one thing that really struck me was when I read a particular sentence. And it said the PNP is promising to introduce digital identification cards with biometric security for seamless access to services. I had to read it again. And then I wondered if I was reading what I actually saw. And I read it again. Introduce digital identification cards with biometric security for seamless access to services. That is NIDS. That is the same NIDS that was fought. It's the same NIDS that was challenged that now finds its way into a manifesto. But I'd like to remind Jamaica that NIDS was launched in late 2024. In addition to that, broadband access. The manifesto notes that they're going to be doing more broadband. We are already doing that. 700 schools, over 700 schools now have internet, and more than 380 communities have Wi-Fi. They talk about AI, artificial intelligence, and having an AI and ethics commission. We convened a AI task force early. We have an AI policy in education. We're the first country in the Caribbean to have that. We're already a leader in AI and doing big things in artificial intelligence. So as I read the manifesto, and I put on my hat as a former lecturer at UWI who used to have to mark master's theses, I had to wonder, why did it sound so much like what we're already doing? It couldn't just be that, you cut and paste. Now, I'm a big proponent of using artificial intelligence. And so, as I thought through it, I realized that this must have used AI. And so, I asked ChatGPT, I prompted ChatGPT to write an education plan for Jamaica. Did it in ChatGPT 5. And when the results came, which I have here, sounded just like the manifesto. The education section sounded just like that. And for those of you who know, ChatGPT 5, their data was mostly cut off in October 24. So the training data that's used was from then. And so that's why it looks so much like what we've already articulated and what we are doing. So this sounds like something from AI. And so in terms of my thoughts, having read those sections and analyzed it and analyzed the broader document, it appears that their manifesto is really a Choose the Jamaica Labour Party manifesto, or indeed a Choose the Andrew Holness administration manifesto. And I say it's indeed a love letter, but it's a love letter to the policies of the Jamaica Labour Party.
Thank you very much, Dana, for a very impressive and comprehensive presentation, which confirms that the administration of Dr. Holness is getting it done, certainly in the area of education. But there are a number of areas as well which the opposition has commented on, which requires critical analysis. And I now turn over to the chairman of the Manifesto and Achievements Committee, the Honorable Kamina Johnson-Smith.
Thank you, Senator Fitzhenley. And thank you, colleagues. Good afternoon to media present. Good afternoon to... It's not on?
Yeah, it's on.
Yo. Good afternoon to everyone who is with us here in the room, and of course, everyone who's joining us online, everyone who's watching in Jamaica, and of course, overseas. You know, I have a particular love for you, so welcome, and again, we're glad you are spending time with us. I'll just try to touch on a few areas, and I want to start with the title of the PNP's manifesto. And I want to make it clear that my view is that, and my considered view, is that the title they have used is the most insincere and disingenuous title which the PNP could have chosen for their manifesto. Why do I say this? They have spent the last 3 to 4 years tearing down Jamaica in every forum, whether domestically or internationally, maligning our systems recklessly without any concern as to the risk to which they have put our systems or our beloved country. They have maligned the media, which affects our global media freedom positioning on the index. They have accused us recklessly and baselessly of corruption, which affects our transparency perception index. We are grateful that the Media Without Borders or Journalists Without Borders do, however, check their facts, because we have continued to do very well within the Caribbean on that index, and we have continued to score the highest as compared to under the PNP's administration on the Transparency Perception Index, because it is recognized that the facts do not match with the PNP's narrative. However, not only to tear Jamaica down internationally, but to start your campaign with the mantra of blood and fire, recalling one of, if not the most politically violent periods in Jamaica's history, at a time when the government is working relentlessly to restore peace. And then, as you approach the election date, you magically seek to print a document with the word love on it and the word Jamaica on it, and expect that the Jamaican people should accept that you are truly a peace-loving party and that you are truly a patriotic country, when all of your conduct over the last 3 to 4 years has crossed the line long ago beyond productive and constructive criticism and opposition into unpatriotic and anti-Jamaican conduct. It is disingenuous, it is, to put it softly, insincere, and I want the Jamaican people to be clear that the PNP has shown you who they are, and so we must believe them. One document, slapdash, cut and paste, AI generated, however you put it, it is not sufficient to correct who they have shown us themselves to be. The next point that I want to take is more on the lines of content. And again, however, regrettably, I have no conclusion other than that they are, again, entirely disingenuous or perhaps uninformed. The extent to which their policies replicate or repackage policies and programs in place already by the Jamaica Labour Party is astonishing. It is astonishing. And I heard someone this morning on the radio describing it as continuity, which we should celebrate. But that is in fact not the case. If it were continuity, they would say so. But what they have done is actually position the programs and the policies as if they are new and as if they are theirs, without any reference or acknowledgement to the fact that there are things in progress. That is not continuity. That is political and intellectual dishonesty or ignorance. The Jamaican people can assess and decide which one it is. Neither one is good or ready to lead. If I take that approach and apply it to the Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade section of the manifesto, because as my colleagues have worn their portfolio hats, I'm going to wear my hat for a little while. Their very first proposal, if I recall correctly, is that they will restore active re-engagement within CARICOM. Who is chair of CARICOM? Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness is the chair of the Conference of Heads of Government and State of CARICOM at this point in time. For the second time, we have chaired COFCOR, we have chaired COTED. Prime Minister is also the chair of the External Trade Negotiations Committee in the quasi-cabinet of CARICOM, one of the areas which is most critical and on which he is leading now, given the various trade challenges which are affecting the region. We were the very first country in the Caribbean. Prime Minister Holness was the first Prime Minister in Parliament to call for the UN to assist Haiti. He was the only, and is to date, the only CARICOM Prime Minister who has gone to Haiti to meet with stakeholders, to engage with their leadership and their political stakeholders with a view to finding solutions. Jamaica hosted 2 Haiti stakeholder meetings, including the one that delivered the breakthrough for the establishment of the Transitional Presidential Council, which is currently offering leadership to that country. To say that you are going to actively re-engage, are you uninformed or are you politically dishonest? Again, Jamaica must make the choice, having looked, but neither is good. I want to make the point as well, in respect of their engagement with CARICOM, that when we took office, I'm sure you must all know, even if you didn't personally experience, but how Jamaicans were treated when we traveled within the region was not good. And it was particularly bad with Trinidad, and our goods were not given access to their markets, and we have literally fixed both problems. We now travel with very good relations. They're not perfect. No system is ever perfect when you're relying on individuals to implement systems, but government to government, across administrations on their side, and certainly as it has been over the last 9 years, massively improved. And something that we continue to work on. Our trade within CARICOM continues to be positive. And in fact, we've even had several win-win circumstances where we have been exporting refined oil to Trinidad, which they are able to add value to and export elsewhere, earning on both sides. So again, to actively restore engagement, we're not sure where they're coming from with all of that. I want to also note that they have said that they will be working and restoring on international cooperation and human rights and self-determination, etc. But Jamaica has stood on every forum or in every forum for the territorial sovereignty of Guyana and Belize in their territorial disputes. We have stood with Ukraine in their with the war which has sought to offend the principles of territorial integrity and sovereignty. We have recognized the state of Palestine with a view to seeking a two-state solution. We are the first government to make that recognition since independence, which means that the PNP has never done it, even though they're willing to try and raise a flag, again demonstrating that they are all about gimmicks and image and what they think people want to see or hear. But when it comes to doing the actual work, the Jamaica Labour Party is doing it already. They say that they're going to engage the diaspora on constitutional reform, but Minister Malahoo Fort has been having town halls in the US and in the UK, and this process is not done yet. So they're not adding any value to the area of foreign affairs and foreign trade. And I really, really suggest that they do a little research and maybe check out our website. Now, there's another matter that I want to raise in this area, because they also said that they will restore Brand Jamaica. And I also have to make the point, because it's related, that they have not even mentioned the word multilateralism in their foreign affairs section. Multilateralism is the core of small state foreign policy. One state, one vote is the only way for countries like Jamaica, like our CARICOM member states, small island developing states, to have an equal voice on the global challenges that affect us all, like climate change, like financing for development, and other major issues. And to not even have it referenced in a passing way shows a fundamental lack of understanding of where we are in the world and what we need to do to navigate the very choppy seas which exist. And in restoring Brand Jamaica, I have to ask, which PNP leader or member has ever been invited to the G7? Which one has ever been invited to the G20? Which one has ever been invited to BRICS or BRICS Plus? I don't know if any have. In fact, I know they haven't. But I can say that Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness has attended, and I'm happy to announce and make public that over the past month, he has since been invited to the G20 again by President Ramaphosa, the incoming president of BRICS. Of the G20. He has been invited to the G20 again by the incoming president of G20, President Ramaphosa. So we're not speaking about things that have long gone and that things have changed and our reputation has changed. Not at all. Prime Minister Holness, Jamaica, and indeed the government under the Labour Party is held in the highest regard internationally. And if I just add one more, and I know, Mr. Chairman, that I can't go on forever, but which of their leaders have ever been asked by a UN Secretary General to lead any global initiative? Again, the answer is going to be the same to both, because Prime Minister Andrew Holness has been asked to lead more than one on climate finance, on financing for development, on the Sustainable Development Goals, and on which he co-chairs the SG's leadership initiative. I will deal with one more issue of content, please, with your indulgence. On crime, the PNP's manifesto is an absolute and complete and abject failure. On crime, the PNP's manifesto is a complete failure. In a country where organized gangs are responsible for more than 70% of murders, are directly responsible for more than 70% of murders. The PNP's manifesto does not even include the word gang. There's a vague reference to scamming networks in a sentence somewhere in it, but they have not even said the word gangs. They absolutely 100% do not understand how to deal with crime in this country. On the other hand, the government, under the leadership of Prime Minister Holness and Dr. Chang, have been relentlessly dismantling gangs, bringing them down from over 300 to just over 100. And that has not changed the percentage or proportion for which gangs are responsible for murders. It still remains at an average 70% because it shifts even with gang activity. I want to make it clear that this fundamental lack of understanding is the very same reason why under the PNP between 1990 to 2007, when they were in office, Jamaica became known as the murder capital of the world. It was under them and their poor crime management that murders moved from 400 to over 1,000. It is under them between 2012 and 2016 that the gangs reorganized, even though they inherited a downward trending murder rate when they took office from the Labour Party in 2012. So this is not a party that you can trust on crime. They have an opportunity or had an opportunity to demonstrate an understanding, and they have failed. I want to make it clear as well that even with that massive demonstration of a lack of understanding, in addition to that, we have more of their cut and paste, because of their 27 crime proposals, so the sensible ones, 70% of them are already being done. We are doing them already. And since we're doing them successfully, I think that the Jamaican people must understand that we are the party, we are the government in which they should put their trust on crime. Giving them responsibility, again, is going to undoubtedly reverse the gains that we have had. We are already celebrating more than 40% reduction, supporting the security forces with more mobility, more technology, more strategy, more training, more welfare support, better working conditions, more police stations that are renovated, built, and restored. And in that context, it is the Jamaica Labour Party who is the party that you should trust on crime. So I know that there are more things that can be said. I want to just make clear that Minister Morgan will be taking forward the issue of roads in the days to come. Minister Samuda will take on the environment and water in days to come. He did, however, ask me to make the point that on funding of NGOs, the government is already funding small NGOs in the environmental sector under the GEF Small Grant Fund, and he thought it was very important that I make this point. So I'm making it for him, but he will raise other matters. And Minister Green will also take forward issues on agriculture. So I know, Mr. Chairman, that there are more things to discuss, but I will close on that point. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Senator Johnson Smith, for a contribution which has made it clear that whereas national security and foreign affairs are concerned, the Jamaica Labour Party administration is achieving positive outcomes on behalf of the people of Jamaica. On the other hand, the PNP is doing quite a job of talking about getting it done and pretending that it is not being done. To all media partners, we thank you much for your patience and attention to this media conference, and we now open the floor for questions. We ask that you identify yourself and your media house, ask one question, keep the mic moving, then if you have other questions, we'll get the mic back to you. This is to ensure that as many people as possible get the opportunity to ask questions. Our first question is from... Oh, there are no questions?
One there, one over here.
I think I recognize Dwayne Anderson from Television Jamaica. Dwayne.
Yeah, thank you. Correct, Abka. Good afternoon to the people at the podium. I remember very well prior to the Jamaica Labour Party coming to power in 2016, a lot was said by the then administration about what cannot be done. And I'm listening to the Jamaica Labour Party on this particular campaign trail, and it's echoing in a similar way, some may say. Are you fearful any at all that you could be going down a similar path?
I didn't understand the question.
Is it 1.5?
Yes. So at the time, the People's National Party administration spent a lot of time telling Jamaicans why certain proposals being made by the opposition at the time cannot work. And it echoes in a similar way now. Are you concerned that Jamaicans may be receiving your position similar to then?
There's a you want me to go ahead and you can. There's a very sharp distinction between then and now. First of all, the results of the 9-year program of this government is very, very clear. And the statistics, the official data, the sentiments on the ground can reflect that. I give you the crime stats that my colleague spoke to earlier. 40% down in murders within a year is historic. Poverty levels, employment, and all the other areas that we have identified. And we have also been able during that time to stabilize the economy, to pay down the debt. So it's a much different context. It's hard for you to compare 2016 with today, because it's a very different context totally, both in terms of the challenges, but also in terms of the achievements. But the other very sharp distinction, which gives us the right to make the claims that we make, is we say the cut and paste, hodgepodge nature of what has been put out by the PNP. The truth is, I would say close to 70% of what they have put there, if it makes sense, because it doesn't make sense in all certain cases, as we have said, is being done in some way, shape, or form by the government. I looked at what they have said in health, and there's hardly anything there that they have said that we're not doing, and making progress while doing it. And the same could be said for education, same could be said for crime management, and so on. So we have a basis on which to say that why change if you're coming to do the same things? And indeed, it's a risk. It's an experiment that is quite risky, because the people who are doing it and getting the results already justify and legitimizes their position as to why they are there. The other guys are saying, okay, we will do it too. The country can't afford that kind of imitation approach. I think, and I say so with the utmost humility and respect for the people of Jamaica and their right to make a choice. We're just trying to bring to their attention the need to recognize the risk involved in supporting that organization. When they left the country in disarray, and we have brought it to a particular point where we're making very good progress, doing more for the people of Jamaica, and we believe that justifies us being considered to continue that process. So there's a difference between then and now, we think.
May I make a follow-on answer?
Sure.
Sure.
Just just don't touch it.
Yeah. Hold on.
Okay. But the light isn't coming on.
It's on?
There we go. Thank you, digital experts. Just to make the point that there's a very fundamental difference in terms of how you assess us as government and potential governments. So the Jamaica Labour Party campaigned on 1.5, and the PNP said it couldn't be done. We entered government, and we proved that it could be done. While we have been in government, they have said, make it 3. Make it 3, that's what we'll do. And then when they have been questioned on it, they've been unable to say how we could afford it and do it. And then they eventually had to move to a point where they said, well, they're just reviewing it. They'll consider it till it's not even in their manifesto. And what that shows is the two different capacities and understandings of the teams that make up the parties that form potential governments in this country. One has been able to prove that it is able to do what it says and says what it will do, and the other continues to say anything that it thinks will give them a forward or that will help people support them. But they have consistently, in the 1970s, in the 1990s, and in the 2000s, been unable to deliver for the Jamaica people in the same way that they haven't even been able to stick to a policy position that's clear on an income tax threshold.
Thank you, Senator. Another question.
Siobhan Campbell, Nationwide News. I have several, but in the interest of protocol, I'll ask those in our second go-around. My question is to the chairman. You said the manifesto, your manifesto, the JLP's manifesto, will come at an appropriate time, but we are less than a month from the general election. What does the JLP then consider an appropriate time? And in an addendum to that, the People's National Party is suggesting that you've delayed that manifesto launch because you're going to attempt to one-up them, as they so say. What do you respond to that?
I will say that the absolute gall of a party that copied and pasted half of our policies and programs, put them forward to then say that we're waiting to copy them, I mean, there's so much dissonance in what they're saying that any Jamaican who sits to think for 2 seconds about what they say and what they do will see that they are simply not ready. They're not ready. We're confident in our manifesto, and the fact is, our chairman alluded to it just a while ago, the achievement document is, people love it, they want more achievements, they want more books. It has not run its course in a sense. There's still a lot of political interest in what we have done, that people feel like, but how did we not know? You guys have not been telling us what you've been doing. And they're interested and they're inspired. And we are sharing that information in response to the people who want it.
So, if I may, I think it's important to say again that this organization, Jamaica Labour Party, is not pursuing the strategy that the PNP is pursuing. That's their right. They can do whatever they want. If they want to put out a AI-generated cut and paste document, for me, it's an insult to the people of Jamaica and the intelligence of the people of Jamaica. But that's their business. Our business is to provide good governance. And we also have been in government for 9+ years. And we have to, as part of our approach, demonstrate what that 9 years has resulted in. Now, people naturally know, many do, some have to be reminded. That's our strategy. The manifesto becomes now the aspirational hope for the future. We don't want to mix up the two. So this issue of timing is based on our approach, which we think is the right approach from an understanding perspective, and nobody is going to force us because they're putting out something irrespective of all the challenges that they obviously are finding out after the fact. I mean, whether it's 8, 10, or 11 pillars, for example. So that we will put out our manifesto in short order. It's completed. A lot of work went into it. Chairperson and her team. Lots of consultations took place. And we're going to do it orderly, professionally, and demonstrate the future direction under the Andrew Holness-led Jamaica Labour Party.
Just to add, Dr. Tufton, with regards to the booklet, Record Achievement, I've been walking in my constituency and I've walked with packets of these books, and every gate that I go to and I hand it to persons, literally they are smiling and they're so happy that I'm coming to their gate, handing them one. Persons ask for more than one from me. So it's so well received by people that they can read, finally read and see the number of record achievements that we have had as an administration.
Question?
Thank you, Favour. We have a question from the Gleaner.
Let me just answer. Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. Dr. Tufton, could you indicate...
I'm going to ask to introduce yourself, then proceed to the question.
I'm sorry.
Okay, ma'am, thank you.
Liver and Barrett, the Gleaner. Dr. Tufton, can you indicate what is the total budget for the JLP's election campaign? And as a rider to that, can you indicate if you have received any donation from corporate Jamaica?
I can't give you any information on the total budget. There is a legal requirement, obviously, and after the fact, I think that meeting those requirements in terms of filings and so on will determine that. So if you have some patience, I'm sure that that information becomes clear in due course. As it relates to donations, I know you know that we do not exist in the context of state-sponsored political campaigning, and therefore donations or contributions are par for the course by all political organizations. And therefore, I am sure that some organizations will contribute, some individuals will contribute. I have no specifics of that. That's not my area. But I don't think there is any naivety around whether or not organizations or individuals contribute to political activity, especially at this time.
My next question, or series of questions, is to the Minister of Finance, Favour Williams. Are you prepared for the upcoming economic debates? And there's a criticism that was going around that the format was changed somehow in order to accommodate what some see as your inexperience. How do you respond to that claim?
I am prepared for the upcoming debates. I had not heard that claim before, so I can't comment on that claim at all.
Okay, then just another one. There's a criticism leveled against the opposition spokesman, Julian Robinson, on finance, that he did not speak during their manifesto presentation. I believe it was on Tuesday. There's also a question, why did you, as the finance minister, not speak during the JLP's mass rally on Sunday?
I found it curious that Julian did not speak as the spokesperson on finance. But in terms of the lineup for speakers at the mass rally, Dr. Tufton, there are decisions.
Yeah, I don't think you should compare both, actually. It's a two different contexts, and we don't have the right to speak about why their persons speak or don't speak. That's not our business. Maybe it's because he wasn't proud of the document, but that's just my speculation. In terms of our program, we have an approach where we position ourselves as a team. It's a team effort here around this table. There are several teams right now in the field as we speak, working with candidates, campaigning, carrying the message of the Labour Party. And that's how we do it. We decide what is appropriate at a particular point in time. We are very comfortable and confident with our Minister of Finance. She has demonstrated, as just a while ago, that she understands the budgetary process, that she's sharp, and that she is doing and has done an excellent job. And she has several responsibilities, constituency included, and you are hearing from her now, and the country will continue to hear from her going into the election.
Okay, then just two final ones, one to you, Dr. Tufton, and one to Dr. Morris Dixon. There is a call that you apologize for what it now seems to be doctored audio played of KD Knight during the mass rally. Would you answer that call to apologize? And to Dr. Morris Dixon, your opposition spokesperson suggests that there was a fall in literacy and numeracy under the current administration. He's essentially suggesting the current administration is at fault for that. How do you respond to that claim?
Okay, so I've seen in the media space a published document or a written document that is supposed to be served on me. I have not received it as yet, and as soon as I receive it, my lawyers are on standby to respond and to make a counterclaim against the individual who has made their claim. So until I receive that document, I have no other comment on the matter. I've said what I've said, and I hold my position.
All right, thank you for that question, and I'm glad I get a chance to clarify things. When we look at the data around literacy and around numeracy, you see a different kind of picture. There's some years where you see the scores up, some years where the scores are down. Also depends on what metric you're looking at. Now, we do know that we went through a pandemic that had significant impact on our children. Significant learning losses took place. That is globally identified as a problem for many children. So when we look at a lot of the data coming out of COVID and right after COVID, across the world you see a dip in some of the performance of our children. So that's universal. But what have we done? What have we done as an administration? We have doubled down our efforts to reach these children. We've had the maths camps, the English camps that I see in the manifesto also, but we've been doing that. If you look at footage from December last year, during Christmas, I was teaching in one of the maths camps. So we've been working really intensively with our students and with our teachers. And you'd have seen success already. The PEP results were clear. We went up. Those children at grade 4 who did PEP this year at grade 6, we were really, really worried about them at grade 4. And now at grade 6, their scores increased tremendously. So that says to Jamaica that we are seeing results. We're seeing success for our children. And then tomorrow, listen out. Tomorrow, CXC results are coming out. And you will see the results of the work of this administration tomorrow also as a part of that release of the data.
Hint, hint, hint.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dana Morris Dixon. We're prepared to take 2 more questions. Then we'll bring a close to this media conference as news time approaches.
News time
Dwayne.
is approaching. Thank you, Abka, for one final one from me. The opposition, the PNP, they've repeatedly mentioned this discretionary spend that each administration has, around $350 billion. From what you know, Minister Williams, is such a spend in existence, and why using the funds from that? Would it be reckless or damaging to the future of the country?
As I said when I started out, there is no major line item in the budget called discretionary spending. There is none. It doesn't exist. That 359 billion you're talking about has to do with programs that we have to fund year after year after year. PATH program, grants to all our schools to ensure that they operate, they need it for their daily operations. What we use in terms of providing for safety and security, health supplies and services, social security and welfare services, sickness and disability. There are a number of programs, important programs, that have to be funded on a recurring basis year after year after year. And so that's why I am saying to the PNP, tell us how you're going to fund your promises. Which of these programs, these recurring programs, will you do away with? Which one of them will you cut? Because I don't know where they get this idea or this notion that there are billions of discretionary funds sitting around in government. That is not so. And it just shows their lack of understanding of the budget of the government.
Do we have an additional question? No, we don't. Thank you much for those closing comments from the Honorable Favour Williams, arguably the most qualified individual to have assumed the post of Minister of Finance in independent Jamaica. Thank you much to our media partners for your attendance at this media conference. Our gratitude as well to our presenters, and to those of you who are watching online. The Jamaica Labour Party appreciates your listenership and indeed your viewership. We continue to choose policies and programs which are in the best interest of Jamaica. We choose Jamaica, and in turn we humbly ask that you choose the Jamaica Labour Party. Much has been accomplished by the administration of Dr. Holness, but we have a firm commitment to do more for you. Thank you, and have a very good afternoon.
Very well. When I chose to serve, it wasn't about politics. It was about love for country, for people, and a passion to ensure every Jamaican can secure the future we all deserve. And we have made real progress. Thousands of Jamaicans now have water for the very first time. New roads have been built. The murder rate is at its lowest in decades. Poverty and unemployment are at record lows. And we have done it all without imposing new taxes. That's not a promise, that is delivery. No matter which political party you have supported in the past, this election is about Jamaica's future. We are doing more for you, and we are not done yet. Jamaica is moving forward, and we must keep building. The Jamaica Labour Party has a strong team that is getting the job done. We are committed to you, your family, your future, and to Jamaica land we love. I am Andrew Holness. Put your X beside the bell.
For over 30 years, we here in Jamaica have been gripped by persistent violent crime. This Jamaica Labour Party administration said, enough is enough. Under the leadership of Prime Minister Andrew Holness and the National Security Minister, Dr. Horace Chang, we've made the largest investment in national security in Jamaica's history. We've upgraded police stations, improved border security, added boots on the ground, equipped our security forces with better training, intelligence, and tools. We've changed the law, tougher penalties for illegal guns, stronger anti-gang legislation, longer sentences for murder, and the results? For the first time in 30 years, murders in Jamaica are projected to fall below 800. So when it comes to safety for your family, for your children, for your community, choose strength, choose security, choose the Jamaica Labour Party.
Jamaica. For far too long, bad roads have burdened our communities. PMP once promised pothole-free Jamaica by 2003. That didn't work out for you. This Jamaica Labour Party government is different. We're not just talking, we're working, building your roads, delivering results. Under the Spark program, we're investing $45 billion of your money to build over 600 new roads in your communities. New sidewalks, drains, water pipes, and so much more. By November, we will complete the first 100 across all 14 parishes. This is for you, your communities, your roads, your future. We will get it done. Choose performance. Choose Jamaica. Choose the Jamaica Labour Party.
We do so much